Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're plunging headfirst into a concept that sounds really simple. Deceptively simple, maybe?
hmm
But as you're about to discover, it's actually, well, pretty radical. A real game changer, I think, for anyone who feels kind of stuck.
Yeah,
Stuck in that, endless tug of war with life or with other people, maybe even with yourself.
right.
We are talking about Mel Robbins's powerful let them theory.
hmm
And the core idea, Mel puts it perfectly herself. If someone's doing something you don't like, let them.
Simple as that.
Simple as that. Stop trying to control people. Start observing what it teaches you about them and yourself.
It sounds easy, but yeah,
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 exactly. It's not about giving up, right? Or just becoming a doormat. It's about something much deeper, almost like a revolutionary kind of liberation.
yeah. A shift in perspective.
Now, if you know Mel Robbins, you know she's just this absolute force of nature, best-selling author, huge motivational speaker.
Mm,
But her journey, to becoming this world-renowned figure, it wasn't some, perfectly smooth road.
not at all.
Back in her early 40s, she was facing, I think it was $800,000 in debt, unemployed.
Yeah, staggering numbers.
And her husband's restaurant business was failing. She'd tried, well, pretty much everything to fix things. Public defender, lawyer, a bunch of startups, even a pottery studio at one point.
Wow. Yeah, trying anything.
Totally. And she just felt completely lost, consumed by this really crippling anxiety, just paralyzed by her own thoughts.
That feeling of being stuck.
Exactly. And what finally shifted things for her was actually a very simple but incredibly powerful tool she kind of stumbled upon.
Right, the famous one.
The 5-second rule, yeah. That 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown that just forces you into action.
Cuts through the overthinking.
It really does. It was her personal catalyst, totally transformed her life and career because it gave her a way to move past that, inertia of overthinking and fear.
Yeah.
She literally clawed her way out of debt, out of self-doubt, just one 5-second decision at a time, led to that viral TEDx talk, The Books,
Yeah.
impacted millions.
An incredible turnaround.
And that transformation, that whole reclaiming of personal power, that's really what we're going to unpack today. Because this idea of letting them, well, it sounds easy, like we said, but actually living it, integrating it into your daily life.
That's the hard part.
That is where the real challenge, and yeah, the transformation happens. It pushes back against almost every instinct we have, doesn't it? To control, to fix.
The micromanage, yeah.
Yeah,
Manipulate outcomes.
totally. So for you listening right now, just think about this. What's the hardest thing you've ever had to just let someone do without jumping in to try and fix it or fight against it or even just, silently stew about it?
That's a tough question. We all have those moments.
Oh, for sure. For me, and I bet this sounds familiar to some people, it was the never-ending battle to get my partner to organize his side of the closet.
The classic.
I mean, years. Literally years. I tried subtle hints, then not so subtle hints. I'd organize his stuff, fold the shirts perfectly. And then by the next morning, total chaos again. A crumpled heap. I even bought him those fancy drawer dividers, little organizational promises, I thought.
Hope springs eternal.
Right. It was just exhausting. And the closet still looked like, a clothes bomb had gone off. And the frustrating thing, but also liberating, was realizing my control wasn't fixing anything. It was just draining my energy, my peace of mind.
Yeah, you were the only one stressed about it.
Exactly. I learned the hard way that my need to fix it.
Yeah.
It was really about my discomfort with the mess, not actually about helping him in the best way.
That's a key insight. It's often about us.
So with that little confession out there,
Yeah.
what's your take on this really deep-seated human urge to control? And why do high achievers especially seem to cling to it like it's a security blanket, even when it often kind of backfires?
That's a fantastic question, and it really hits home for so many people, especially, like you said, driven, achievement-oriented folks. You're tapping into a fundamental truth. We have this deeply ingrained human need for control. Mel Robbins calls it a hardwired need for control.
Right.
It's been part of our human operating system for forever. Our survival, way back when, depended on influencing our environment.
Right, making things predictable.
Exactly. Predicting, exerting some mastery. So we have this innate desire to control our time, our thoughts, our actions, our surroundings, plans, future decisions. You name it.
Everything.
Pretty much. And it's not just, a preference or personality thing. It's rooted in this fundamental psychological comfort. We instinctively believe that feeling in control makes you feel comfortable and safe.
Yeah, that makes sense. Safety.
And that belief often totally subconscious, drives us to unconsciously try and control everyone and everything around us. It's an illusion of safety, sure, but a really powerful one. It dictates so much of our behavior.
And for high achievers, how does that play out differently?
Well, for high achievers, it often manifests as this kind of performative perfectionism.
Yeah.
The internal thinking goes something like, okay, if I can just control every single variable, if I micromanage every little detail, then I can guarantee success and, crucially, prevent failure.
Failure avoidance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's well-intentioned, absolutely. But ultimately, it's a flawed strategy.
So what's the real cost? The tangible cost of hanging on to control like that? Because it sounds like it's way more than just a minor hassle.
Oh, it's enormous.
Huge.
Mel talks about people spending years trying to be everything for everyone else.
Mm-hmm. I feel that.
At work, in relationships, family.
Mm-hmm.
It means constantly working harder, bending further, kind of shrinking yourself,
Right.
Silencing your own needs.
And still feeling like it's not enough.
Exactly. Still feeling it's never enough. It's this constant, utterly exhausting effort to manage other people's opinions, their moods, their actions, their reactions.
Wow.
And in doing all that, she argues, you've just unknowingly been giving your power away. You're basically handing over your peace, your energy, your sense of self-worth to things outside of you that you can't possibly fully manage anyway.
So it's this exhausting, pointless cycle.
Pretty much. Wasting our most valuable resources. Time, energy, happiness. And the real irony, by trying so hard to control others, you actually lose control of yourself.
Yeah, that's a vicious cycle. And underneath all that frantic trying, that controlling,
Yeah.
there's usually something deeper, right? More vulnerable, fear. What is control actually trying to protect us from? Is that shield ever useful, or is it always like a trap?
That's a brilliant question because it really gets to the absolute heart of it. Control, fundamentally, is often just a shield against discomfort, against vulnerability. It's trying to protect us from these really deeply uncomfortable fears. The fear of being excluded, the fear of not being liked.
And rejection, yeah.
Rejection is a big one. Fear of things falling apart, fear of pain, fear of disappointment. We try to control outcomes to avoid all these things we perceive as threats. And Mel's own story is such a vivid, almost painful example of this. When she first got into that massive debt, that crushing anxiety, her response wasn't action. It was profound avoidance.
Right. She talked about hitting the snooze button.
Over and over. Using alcohol to numb the pain, blaming her husband for the money problems, procrastinating endlessly on anything that felt overwhelming. She knew intellectually what she needed to do. Get up, face the bill, find work. But she was completely paralyzed. Paralyzed by her own thoughts, the sheer weight of her fears.
That feeling of paralysis, it's so real.
It truly is. It can consume you, making even the simplest things feel impossible. That's what control is desperately trying to prevent, the unpredictable, the uncomfortable, the potentially painful stuff.
But the paradox is,
in trying to control everything to avoid that pain, it often creates more paralysis, more stress, and way less actual progress.
Yeah.
It just traps you.
I can totally relate to that paralysis, knowing what you should do, but just being completely unable to start because it all feels too heavy. It's such a powerful example of how fear shows up.
Yeah.
Right? Not always as panic, but sometimes as just freezing.
Internal freezing.
My own control issues, like with the closet thing I mentioned, often came from that same place, wanting to fix things for people I care about, smooth things over, make sure everyone's happy, make sure outcomes are perfect. It felt like my job.
Right. Your responsibility.
Yeah, but the emotional toll was just huge. Constantly trying to steer conversations, manage expectations, predict reactions. I just made myself completely exhausted. It took me such a long time to get that my desire to fix wasn't really about helping them the best way. It was about my discomfort with uncertainty or potential failure or someone else being unhappy.
And that discomfort became your problem to solve.
Exactly. And I tried to control others to solve it for myself.
Your experience just perfectly highlights something crucial, especially for high achievers.
Yeah.
This intense need for control often acts like that security blanket against the unknown.
Yeah.
There's a really strong link to performance anxiety, perfectionism. The belief that if I just control every single variable, I can guarantee success, prevent failure. And that leads to micromanaging, not just tasks, but relationships, emotions, just like you described. But what's so profoundly counterproductive is that this habit actually stifles the very things high achievers often want: growth, creativity, adaptability.
How so?
Because by trying to control every outcome, you paradoxically become less resilient, less innovative when things inevitably don't go according to your super detailed plan.
Right, because things never go exactly to plan.
Never. True power, as Mel suggests, doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from mastering your own responses, aligning your intentions. That's a much more sustainable and actually empowering kind of control.
That distinction is huge. Mastering your own response, not forcing someone else's, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, what if everything we've been taught about control is kind of backwards? What if, say, letting someone misunderstand you isn't weakness or bad communication? What if it's actually the most strategic move you could make, maybe in your career?
Ooh, that's provocative.
It totally flips the script on needing approval, doesn't it? It's almost like an antivision to what we instinctively want to do.
It absolutely does. It just challenges that conventional wisdom that says we have to constantly manage perceptions and outcomes to succeed.
Yeah.
The let them theory basically suggests that real leverage, real freedom, often comes from just releasing that death grip on what others think or do. It's about recognizing that trying to control how others see you, it's a losing battle and a massive energy drain.
Okay, let's dive into some of those really funny, sometimes painfully relatable let them moments from Mel's own life. They illustrate this so well. First up, the legendary prom story. Her son Oakley's prom.
Ah, yes. The prom saga.
You'd think after 4 daughters going through prom, she'd be a total pro, right? But Oakley, being a typical teenage boy, 0 details until the very last minute. Tuxedo, special sneakers, the date, total scramble.
Classic. And this is where the human truth just shines through, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mel, trying so hard to be the good mom, goes all out to get Oakley's date this killer corsage. But Oakley, with that perfect teenage angst, just tells her, don't bring that.
And does she listen?
Of course not. Mel brings it anyway, clutching it like it's, winning a lottery ticket. And then the cringe moment, she discovers the date has already made her own corsage.
Oh, no. The secondhand embarrassment is real. My face is burning just thinking about it.
You can just feel the awkwardness.
So wait, it gets even better, right? Because these 20 kids, all dressed up, black tie, they have no dinner reservation.
None.
And their genius plan, this tiny 4-table taco bar called Amigos in a literal downpour.
Unbelievable.
Can you imagine risking ruined tuxedos, brand new expensive sneakers for soggy tacos? Mel is quite understandably losing her mind.
Oh, totally freaking out. How will they fit? They'll get soaked. They'll be miserable. Disaster.
And this is the moment, the pivotal, almost like divine intervention moment. Mel's daughter, Kendall.
Yes, Kendall cuts right through the parental chaos.
Yeah.
Such clarity. She delivers this pure let them revelation.
What does she say?
She just goes, Mom, if Oakley and his friends want to go to a taco bar for pre-prom, let them.
Oh.
And she keeps going with that escalating teenage exasperation, right? Mom, let them get soaked. And then the ultimate mic drop.
Yeah.
The mantra for all parents, all control freaks. Mom, you're being annoying. Let them show up to prom in wet tuxedos and dresses. Let them go eat where they want. It's their prom, not yours. Just drop it.
Kendall, hero of parental boundaries, and Mel's shift. It's immediate, isn't it? Profound.
Totally. She gives Oakley $40, manages a real smile, and just watches them run into the rain, and she feels weirdly above it all. That brain space that was filled with worry about corsages and wet tuxedos, suddenly available for more important things.
It's so relatable, though, right? We get so caught up in the tiny details, trying to manage potential discomfort for others, and it just drains us. All that cognitive load we carry trying to prevent small, manageable inconveniences.
Absolutely. This story just perfectly shows the sheer liberation that comes when you acknowledge what's truly out of your control and then consciously put your energy somewhere else.
Yeah.
It wasn't indifference from Mel. It was a deliberate choice to let go of a battle that wasn't hers. And the reward, immediate mental peace.
And this idea goes way beyond parenting, obviously. What about that deep fear so many of us have about what other people think? Especially now with social media, it feels like constant perception management.
Oh, yeah?
Mel talks about struggling for 2 years to promote her speaking business online. 2 years. Because she was terrified of judgment from friends, family, worried they'd think, who does she think she is? What a phony. That fear is crippling. She describes writing hundreds of draft posts, agonizing over every single word, only to delete them 5 minutes later if they didn't get enough likes or if the comments weren't glowing. It's such a classic, almost universal example of how fear of opinions just paralyzes us, keeps us playing small.
Yeah. But then she had this realization, right?
Yes, a profoundly liberating one. Adults will have negative opinions about you and everything you do. Let them judge. Let them react. Let them doubt you. Let them question the decisions you are making. Let them be wrong about you.
Wow. Just let them. That's incredibly powerful. The core lesson there is just vital, isn't it? Instead of wasting your time worrying about them, start living your life in a way that makes you proud of yourself. Let me do what I want to do with my one wild and precious life.
That's it. That's the real freedom, the freedom to be authentic without needing someone else's permission slip.
It truly is. And this has huge career implications too, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
think about that common, super frustrating situation.
Yeah.
You're working your butt off, hitting targets, going the extra mile,
Mm-hmm.
and your boss just isn't promoting you.
Yeah,
You feel that heat rising, right?
Mhm.
Frustration, discouragement, powerlessness.
totally. Dr. Aditi, who Melk consulted, she notes this exact scenario is why she's seeing burnout in record numbers. People are stuck in this chronic stress at work, feeling like they have no agency.
We've all been there, haven't we? That simmering resentment, feeling overlooked. So the let them response here isn't like storming in or complaining constantly.
No, it's actually recognizing a fundamental truth. Let them string you along, which sounds harsh, but
But
because ultimately your career is your responsibility.
right.
It's a tough pill to swallow, especially when you feel wronged, but it immediately shifts the power back to you.
Okay. So how does that work? What's the let me part?
The let me response becomes, stop fixating on the injustice, stop wasting energy on resentment. Instead, start actively looking for a better opportunity. Update your resume, network like crazy, go on interviews.
Mel emphasizes, you are never stuck. That's a lie you tell yourself. This flips a situation where you feel powerless into one where you have profound personal agency.
Right. You can't control their decision, but you control your next move.
Exactly. It's self-preservation. It's strategic personal development.
And it applies even to like the smallest everyday annoyances. The airport stress tests.
Oh, the coughing guy on the plane.
Yes. Mel describes being stuck behind this guy, coughing, open-mouthed, like it's his last day on Earth. And she initially gets super annoyed, right? Huffing, puffing, glaring.
Tried asking him politely to cover his mouth.
And he just ignores her. The internal spiral, the frustration, it's so palpable.
But her realization that is so key, and it applies everywhere. I couldn't control whether or not another person was coughing.
Yeah.
I could only control how I responded to the coughing.
Shift the focus.
Totally. It shifts everything to personal responsibility. Who is responsible for me not getting sick? Me, not the stranger coughing. That simple shift stops her spiraling into wasted energy, pointless anger, self-inflicted frustration. It's the difference between letting something external hijack your internal state and choosing to protect your own peace.
It really is all about choosing where you put that precious energy, isn't it? Like the saying, you can't control the waves, but you can learn to surf.
Exactly.
And this whole let them idea really makes that, quote, resentment is just control in a costume hit differently.
Oh, that's a powerful line. Say more about that.
Well, it feels like resentment is our frustration with things we can't control, right? But it dresses itself up as anger at other people. We feel resentful because someone or something isn't meeting our expectations of how they should be or how things should go.
It's that friction.
Yeah, the friction between our internal ideal and the external reality.
Exactly. When you're resentful, you often feel like someone else wronged you or the situation is just unfair. You get stuck in that victim mode.
Yeah.
But Mel's point is, resentment often stems from your own useless attempts to control something or someone you just can't control. It's the gap between your shoulds and reality.
So realizing it's about my need for control, not just their action.
It shifts the focus right back to your agency. It's incredibly liberating because it means the solution is in your mindset, not in changing someone else.
So it's not about saying the behavior was okay, but acknowledging that staying stuck in resentment is our choice. A choice to keep trying to control the uncontrollable. And crucially, like Mel says, don't waste energy arguing with someone committed to misunderstanding you.
Yes. Sometimes just accepting people for who they are, letting go of that desperate need to convince them or change their mind,
Yeah.
that's the most freeing thing. Recognizing not every hill is worth dying on.
Yeah.
Some people are just not on your frequency.
That's a brilliant connection. And the science actually backs this up, right? How stress hijacks the brain.
It absolutely does. Dr. Aditi explains it so well. Think of your brain like a car. Your prefrontal cortex, that's your sophisticated GPS, your steering wheel. Plans, logic, decisions, perspective, normally in control.
Okay.
But the second you feel stressed, it's like this primitive emergency brake the amygdala just slams on.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. This ancient part of the brain, purely for survival, it bypasses the GPS and takes over, throws you straight into fight, flight, or freeze. Rational thought, gone. You're just reacting.
So how does let them help?
Let them is basically like shouting false alarm to that emergency brake. It signals to your amygdala, hey, this isn't life-threatening. That allows the GPS, your prefrontal cortex, to regain control.
So you're hacking your stress response.
Literally. Hacking your stress response, it lets you stay out of that emotional hijack and respond intentionally, not just reactively. It's like consciously choosing to disengage the panic button.
So it's not about ignoring the issue, but about not letting the issue own you, detaching from the immediate negative feelings so you can choose a better response.
Exactly. And this ties into Dr. Sherritt's work on social contagion, too.
Oh, so?
Well, people are hugely influenced by others' behavior. If you spend your energy being annoyed, frustrated, resentful, you might just spread that around, right? Create a toxic vibe.
Mm-hmm. We've all felt that.
But if you model the calm, empowered, non-reactive response, if you actually embody let them, you can subtly influence others towards a more peaceful state, too. It's like this stealthy form of leadership by example.
Becoming the example, not the enforcer. I like that. Which leads perfectly into our next bit, boundaries. Setting boundaries that don't sound like they're ripped off some cheesy self-help poster.
Right, because this isn't about being passive, it's active empowerment.
Exactly. Because when you first hear let them, you might think, oh, so I just give up, let people walk all over me, become passive or emotionally check out.
Yeah, that's a common misconception.
But it's the complete opposite, isn't it? An incredibly active, empowered choice.
Precisely. Mel really emphasizes, when you say let them, you're not giving up or walking away. You're freeing yourself. You are making a deliberate decision. You're releasing that grip you have on how things should go and allowing them to unfold the way they will go. You're letting go of control you never really had anyway.
Right.
And by doing that, you free yourself from all the stress, frustration, energy drain that comes with it.
Yeah.
It's an active choice for your peace, your authenticity, your agency, over trying to control the external.
Okay, so if it's not checking out emotionally, how do you actually do it? How do you let them without becoming indifferent or disengaged?
It sounds like it comes back to the second part, the let me part. Taking radical responsibility for your own actions, your feelings, your values. Mel's story about the birthday party and the grandparents' dilemma is such a perfect illustration of this internal shift. She describes bending over backward, right?
Right.
Trying desperately to please everyone.
Yeah, driving hours for the party.
Then immediately driving another 4 hours to her parents' house to see the grandparents. It's that classic people-pleasing trap we fall into.
Been there. So what happened? Did everyone appreciate it?
Well, that's the kicker. The birthday friend was upset that you left early, and her mom was disappointed you weren't here at the exact moment the grandparents arrived.
Oh, you can't win.
Exactly. Mel's huge takeaway was, even when you bend over backward and try to please everyone, even that won't guarantee that other people will think a positive thought. Let them.
Wow. That's a stark reminder. External validation is just an impossible target.
Totally impossible. You can never win the game of pleasing everyone.
So the core lesson she learned was,
now that I know the let them theory, I bend over backward to make myself happy. The motivation for what you do has to come from inside, from your pride, your values, your peace. Not from desperately seeking approval or trying to dodge guilt. It's about making choices that align with you, not with what others expect. Don't let guilt drive the bus. It's a radical act of self-care, really.
That's a massive pivot. Shifting the control from external expectations to internal alignment, self-respect. And this applies big time to family opinions, doesn't it? Where the pressure can be huge.
Oh, it's absolutely immense. Mel brings in Lisa Villia's brilliant idea of frame of reference here.
Frame of reference.
Yeah. It means trying to understand where someone else is truly coming from, what experiences shape their view. Even if you totally disagree with them, it just creates space for empathy without needing you to agree.
Okay, like Mel's mother's reaction to her husband, Chris. She wasn't initially thrilled.
Right. And it wasn't because she disliked Chris. It was because it meant Mel probably wouldn't move back home, which mirrored her mother's own life experience, leaving home and never going back.
So it wasn't about Chris at all.
Exactly. Mel realized her mom was just scared of losing her daughter. It was about her mom's own unresolved fears. The huge shift for Mel was realizing she could give her the freedom to wish my life took a different path, and at the same time, see that we were both right, because we have different frames of reference.
So the principle is,
Let them have their opinions, and then Let me choose how to respond. It's about accepting family as they are, defining your own boundaries and traditions, building relationships on your values, even if that means hard conversations or sometimes creating a bit of distance for your own sanity. The ultimate truth, and it's so liberating, the only person you can change is you. You can't change their frame of reference, but you choose how you interact with it.
That's radical in family dynamics where we feel so much pressure to conform or manage how everyone sees things. But okay, what about when adults act like, well, like toddlers? The adult tantrum, we've all seen it, maybe even been it. How does let them apply there?
That's such a great point because emotional maturity doesn't automatically come with age, does it?
Definitely not.
Mel says, adults are as emotional as children, and it is not your responsibility to manage someone else's reactions. Simple as that. As long as you let others' emotional immaturity or outbursts dictate your choices, you'll always come last in your own life.
So the approaches.
Just let them react. When you say let them, you give other people the space to feel their emotions without needing to fix them. Their feelings aren't your job. And when you say let me, you do what's right for you, even if it upsets someone. That's how you take responsibility for your life, your peace.
Visualizing an 8-year-old trapped inside their body when someone's having a meltdown.
Yeah.
That actually fosters compassion instead of contempt,
Yeah.
right? Reminds you their inability to cope isn't your fault or your problem to solve.
Exactly. It lets you keep your cool when they're losing theirs. And the science of emotions here is fascinating, too. Emotions are basically just bursts of chemicals
Right.
in your brain, your body, lasting only 6 to 90 seconds. If you don't react to them.
90 seconds, that's it.
Less than 2 minutes, yeah. A simple burst. You cannot control your emotions from rising up, Mel explains.
Yeah.
They just happen automatically, triggered by stuff. The better strategy is learning to just let them rise up and then fall without reacting. And this is crucial because, as Mel shows with that powerful example of the groom wanting to call off his wedding, the right decision often feels wrong.
Oh, yeah. Logically, ending an unhappy relationship before marriage. Makes sense.
Intellectually crystal clear. Correct, logical choice. But the emotional cost, the disappointment, anger, heartbreak, the social fallout, it's immense.
Yeah.
You have to learn to ride the emotional wave of that deep discomfort, accepting that adults are allowed to feel how they're going to feel. You can't control it. Your job is to handle your discomfort, not prevent theirs.
Okay, so if let them is all about letting go of control, can a leader actually use this and still drive performance in a team, an organization? It feels kind of counterintuitive to traditional leadership, maybe?
It might seem that way initially, yeah. But actually, Mel argues, and I think convincingly, that a controlling boss is a bad boss.
Right. Micromanaging kills morale.
Totally. Stifles creativity, crushes morale, damages relationships, creates a toxic environment, leads straight to burnout. The let them theory actually helps leaders find a much more effective balance
Wow.
by empowering teams, by focusing on influence rather than pressure or coercion. Mel introduces the ABC loop as this brilliant way to influence others without needing to control them.
ABC loop. Okay, intriguing. Break that down for us.
It's a really practical approach, actually rooted in motivational interviewing techniques. The A stands for apologize, then ask open-ended questions.
Apologize. For what?
Not necessarily for doing something wrong. It's more about acknowledging their perspective or discomfort first. It's disarming, like, hey, I'm sorry if I haven't been clear on this, but what's your biggest challenge right now? Or, I apologize if you feel pressured, but what's your vision for how we could tackle this?
Ah, okay, so it opens the door.
Exactly. The goal is to get them talking.
Yeah.
To understand their frame of reference, their intrinsic motivation. It means let them talk and let me listen.
Okay, that's A. What's B?
B is for Bess. Back off.
Yeah.
And observe their behavior. So once you've asked those open questions and really listened, you don't immediately jump in with solutions or orders.
Resist the urge to fix.
Yes. You create space. You step back, observe. You give them the autonomy to act based on what they've said. This is crucial. It lets them feel ownership, internalize their own reasons for doing things. It signals trust. You're giving them room to show you what they can do.
Got it. And C.
C is celebrate progress and model change. When you see even small steps in the right direction, you acknowledge it, celebrate it. That positive reinforcement encourages more of that behavior, not because they're being told, but because they see the positive result of their own agency. And modeling is absolutely key. Mel says, you can't ask someone else to eat healthier while you're raving about the croissant you just ate. Right.
True.
A leader influences by consistently being the behavior, the values, the work ethic they want to see. If you show strong boundaries, stay calm in chaos, focus on solutions, that's what spreads through that social contagion. It's way more effective and sustainable than just pressure or micromanaging. It taps into internal motivation, not just external compliance.
That's a really sophisticated way to think about leadership. So, okay, we've talked about what let them is, how to apply it practically. Now let's shift to some powerful mental models, metaphors that help us really embed this philosophy in our thinking, our daily lives. First one, the mirror model. This is fascinating. The idea that every reaction you have to others is actually a window into your own unresolved stuff.
This is such a profound insight. It flips everything from external blame to internal accountability.
Yeah.
Mel illustrates it so well with her own reaction to seeing friends on a trip on social media she wasn't invited to.
Oh, yeah, that stings.
Right. Her immediate feeling wasn't just sadness. It was this surge of rejection, insecurity, confusion. She started spiraling, thinking, what did I do wrong? They don't value me. But the truth, she realized, was way simpler and more powerful. My friends didn't do anything to me. They were just living their lives, enjoying their vacation. Her big realization was the way I reacted to their trip is what hurt me.
It wasn't them, it was her reaction.
Exactly. Her insecurity, feeling less than, fear of exclusion, those were internal, unresolved issues being painfully reflected back by their innocent actions. It wasn't about them at all. It was about her internal landscape.
It's like comparison acting as a teacher then. Mel says jealousy is an invitation from your future self.
Yes. She tells the story of her friend Molly, a super talented interior designer who was just burning up with jealousy over this irritating woman with zero design experience, suddenly getting tons of likes on social media for posts about her own house. Molly's anger wasn't really at the woman. It was because this woman shoved a simple fact in Molly's face. If I can do it, you can do it too. The woman wasn't the problem. She was the mirror, showing Molly her own untapped potential and the fear holding her back.
Wow. So the anger is off to her.
Often, you being mad at yourself because you know that you could have gotten to work sooner. Mel felt this herself when she got intensely jealous of a friend's dream home. She dug into it and realized, okay, it's not about the house. It was her own unaddressed feelings of being behind on her personal goals, not pursuing her own dreams vigorously enough. The mirror model forces you to confront your own stuff. It turns external triggers, a friend's success, someone being annoying, into chances for radical self-awareness and growth. It shifts from they made me feel to what is this showing me?
Okay, next model, the control bank. I like this metaphor. It really quantifies our precious resources, right? Managing finite energy and attention.
It's incredibly practical. The metaphor just highlights that your time and energy are your most valuable resources. It suggests you have like a limited number of control chips to spend each day, maybe only 3.
Yep, limited budget.
Right. Every time you let stupid things or rude people dictate your mood, every time you get sucked into a pointless argument or worry aimlessly about something you can't change, you're giving away all your power. You're draining those chips. The control bank reminds you, focus on what you can control, mostly your response, your actions, your internal state. Don't let trivial nonsense or external negativity drain your life force. It pushes you to be strategic with your emotional and mental money. Are you really going to spend a control chip fuming about a passive-aggressive email? Or are you going to use it to focus on your most important project? Or connect with your family? Choose wisely.
And the last model, the let them ladder. This one shows us how to climb from that purely reactive, amygdala-driven survival mode up to being a wise observer with the prefrontal cortex back online, a past a conscious response.
Yeah. When you feel stressed, threatened, annoyed, your brain automatically flips into that survival mode we talked about.
Right, the emergency brake.
Exactly. And when that happens, your prefrontal cortex, the part for rational thought, planning, intentional response, is no longer in control. And neither you. You're just running on autopilot, primal instincts. Let them acts like the on-off switch. It tells your amygdala, turn off, false alarm. It's like a circuit breaker for panic. And it's immediately followed by, let me and take a breath.
The conscious pause.
That conscious intentional pause. It slows the stress response, calms your body and brain, helps you regain your power, and lets you choose an intentional, values-aligned response instead of just reacting blindly.
So it's about catching that automatic reaction.
Catching it in its tracks.
Yeah.
And consciously choosing a path that aligns with your higher self, not your primal fear.
That pause, that conscious let them.
Yeah.
That's the key to breaking the automatic stress cycle. Not letting emotions hijack your response, make you lash out, withdraw, ruminate.
Hmm.
It makes you realize, yeah, not every email needs an instant angry reply. Not every tough conversation needs you in it. You don't always need the last word.
Absolutely.
This model just empowers you to be more intentional, more selective with your energy, ultimately way more powerful in your own life, turns you from a pawn into a player.
It truly does. And, to bring this home in a really human way, I can share a breakthrough moment from my own life that really illustrates the let me part of this, especially around making friends in a new place.
Oh, yeah. Tell us.
When I moved to a new town in my 50s, I was starting completely from scratch. No friends there. And honestly, even though I had great friends elsewhere, I felt incredibly lonely and kind of desperate in my new surroundings. It was a really humbling, vulnerable time.
That's a huge shift. Going from an established life to feeling like you're starting over, needing to build it all again, takes courage to even admit feeling lonely.
It really was tough. And for a full year, I basically just sat in my house, feeling sorry for myself, kind of expecting friendship to just magically appear.
Waiting for others to initiate.
Totally. Closed off. Then one day, my daughters, bless them, literally forced me to walk up the driveway and knock on the door of a woman, Mia, I'd met briefly.
Oh, wow. Forced you.
Pretty much. I felt like such a loser, my heart pounding, thinking, seriously, my daughters are strong-arming me into making friends. But I went. It was embarrassing, awkward. Her husband answered the door.
Oh, no.
And my daughters, in their infinite, blunt wisdom, just blurted out, our mom needs friends. She thought your wife was cool, so we made her come say hello.
Oh, my gosh. The bravery. Or maybe the sheer desperation pushing you. That's an amazing, excruciatingly relatable moment.
Huh. Bit of both, probably.
Yeah.
But Mia, thankfully, was lovely, thrilled. We swapped numbers. A week later, we were walking together. That incredibly awkward, painful knock was the start. From that moment, and like 100 other equally awkward moments, introducing myself at a coffee shop, genuinely complimenting strangers, joining local classes, I slowly started building a new community, joined a walking group with someone I met at the hairdresser, started small, now the text chain is maxed out, meeting every Wednesday morning. My husband, Chris, got inspired, joined a gym, a golf league, started a Tuesday ski group that now has 15, 20 people.
So the core of that breakthrough, that transformation, it was about going first, wasn't it? Putting yourself out there without being attached to the outcome.
Exactly. It was consciously deciding, let me be the first to introduce myself. Let me be the first to say, I'm new here. How long have you lived here? Choosing curiosity over fear, smiling, saying hello, complimenting people without expecting anything back. It took a full year of consistent trying, just like I used to tell my daughter when she went to college and struggled. Loneliness is heavy, real. But you're not stuck. You have to actively choose, let me go first, and build that social scaffolding, one awkward, vulnerable chat at a time. That deliberate choice, that consistent action, it dramatically shifted my well-being, my happiness. It's an ongoing practice. Let them have their lives and friends, and let me actively create my own.
That is such a powerful example of intentional action and the reward for embracing vulnerability. Truly inspiring. Okay, as we start to wrap up this deep dive, let's hit some rapid-fire key takeaways. Reality benders around this let them idea.
Okay, first, letting go is leadership. Shows confidence, trust, empowers everyone.
Second, huge one. Control is expensive. Costs time, energy, peace of mind. It really is a full-time job with no salary.
Third, boundaries are for energy protection, not punishment. Safeguarding your resources, not punishing others.
Fourth, let them is a powerful sorting mechanism for alignment. Shows you quickly who and what truly fits with your values, your path.
Fifth, and this is transformative, the more you let go, the more you become. You shed the heavy layers of expectations, fears, letting your authentic self emerge.
Sixth, liberating truth. Nobody who truly gets you needs convincing. Those who value you will accept you without needing constant justification.
And finally, a really big one for clarity. You don't need closure, you need clarity. Mel stresses, people's behavior tells you exactly how they feel about you. Your job isn't to interpret it. Your job is to let people reveal who they are and accept it.
Wow, that applies everywhere. Dating, family, work.
Everywhere. Seeing reality as it is, not as you wish it were.
These takeaways, full of humor, emotional heat, undesirable human truth. They really challenge our defaults, don't they? Ask us to be vulnerable, lean into discomfort, choose liberation over that exhausting chase for control. So as you go about your day listening to this, I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. What's one area of your life right now where letting them would instantly free you up to live, say, 10x more aligned with who you really are and what you truly want?
Ooh, that's a powerful question.
Uh,
I think for many people, and definitely for me sometimes, it's letting go of that relentless need for external validation.
yeah, from everyone.
Friends, family, colleagues, strangers online. The moment you truly internalize, let them have their opinions, let them judge, let them misunderstand, you free up this huge, almost immeasurable amount of mental and emotional energy that was tied up in a battle you couldn't win.
Mm-hmm.
And that liberated energy, you can channel it directly into living a life that makes you proud, a life aligned with your values, not theirs.
Yeah.
That's where the real personal power is, real peace.
That is such an incredibly liberating thought to end on. So remember this, folks. Control is a full-time job with no salary. Let them and let yourself be free.
Well said.
If this deep dive hit you where it matters, if it sparked something or gave you a new perspective, please hit that like button, share it with someone you know who might be holding on just a little too tight, and definitely make sure to subscribe for more conversations designed to challenge your defaults and free your mind. And next time, we might just dig into this. What if everything you're chasing is actually running from you?